I'll be reviewing episode 4 of the Urusei Yatsura remake. Support small channels like ours by subscribing and liking this video. Last time, we saw some girl in a rocket. As far as episodes go, this made me laugh and think quite carefully. As to why I think this, I'll say it here. Warning! I got the spoilers from a game of tennis. The episode begins with Lum and Ataru playing against Shinobu and Shotaro in a game of tennis. Damn! Lum's going all out in here. Meanwhile, some Tengu are carrying something and a ball from that game had hit one of the Tengu square on the head. The capsule falls down a slope carrying the Tengu elder with it. The capsule lands on Shotaro here, and as he's about to shove it onto Ataru, the latter sees that there's a girl in there and tries to kiss it. Wait a minute, that's a girl from the last episode. As Shotaro is looking at it, the other Tengu from earlier rushed to where the capsule is. The Tengu realize that Shotaro is a pretty boy, and the elder awakes to realize that Shotaro is indeed a pretty boy. Apparently, the Tengu have traveled to Earth to look for a man who is fitting for their princess, Kurama. As Shotaro approaches the capsule, the elder asks him to marry and make babies with the girl in the capsule, as she's that princess. Ataru is amused and Shotaro is shocked. Shotaro is told to wake up the princess with a kiss. The rich simp declines, so Ataru tries to do it. But alas, Lum shocks him. And Lum is right on one thing, that she's perfect for Ataru. As Shotaro is about to kiss the princess again, Shinobu interrupts. Get that troll simp out of here! Ataru jumps up and kisses the princess. And so we get to the title of the episode, Sealed with a Kiss. Damn it, Ataru, you already have one princess for a wife. Apparently, Kurama here has to marry the first guy that she had kissed. As Kurama wakes up, she sees a pretty boy and she's happy about it. Well, Shotaro, you have to fulfill your destiny and marry Kurama now. Ataru, the degenerate simp, tries going after Kurama again, but she refuses. The guy should have just kissed Lum instead. A few days later, the Tengu talk about their princess and Lum is in there with them. She asks about Kurama and how she knows not about Ataru. One of the Tengu agrees and the Tengu have a deal with Lum, except for the elder. Alas, Kurama's not there because of Shotaro. We cut to the class where there's that student council meeting. Indeed, the class had chosen quite poorly. Shotaro says that he's not like the others, and Ataru says likewise. The girl simps say that Shotaro is logical but he's no Edgeworth. That's for sure. All of a sudden, Kurama pops up and so does Lum. Indeed, Lum has a good point. That Ataru's taste in women begins and ends with horny. Meanwhile, Kurama mentions that Shotaro is her husband and the simps are mad. The other Tengu show up and Kurama embraces Shotaro. I believe that the proper course of action is for the simps to just cope and seethe. Meanwhile, Shotaro talks with the Tengu and he's convinced that he's gonna marry Kurama. Ataru goes at it again with the same result. Lum asks Ataru if he's okay with being humiliated like that. But alas, Ataru is a masochist. Kurama tells the Tengu to get ready and Lum helps out. They are building a special love nest and the simps are molding now. Kurama tells them off and the love nest is done. Is he gonna get snoo-snooed? Inside the love nest, Kurama asks if he's opposed to baby making and Shotaro approves. But alas, Ataru is in here too. He admits that he only lied to make her happy, and so Kurama decided to choose Shotaro anyway. I will return to this later. The elder says that he knows little of his own tribe's traditions, and so the other Tengu help out in finding it out. Intergalactic Wi-Fi style. The Tengu ask about the traditions of their tribe, and the first elder tells a story. Apparently, their tribe's princess was captured by an enemy and he went ahead to try rescuing her. After this, he meets a Tengu lady by the lake. He kissed the sleeping beauty and ended up marrying her. Kurama got so fed up at the lack of an explanation that she ended up destroying the intergalactic Wi-Fi and went back to her love nest. Shotaro pops up and comforts her. Who knew that this wealthy simp can be such a Chad? But alas, Ataru traps Shotaro in a bell and he's scared. And so Kurama leaves, looking for a better man. She mentions about standards and settling. I'll get back to this one later as well. She better not end up on Tinder. And so the episode ends. This is quite a good episode, and it follows episode 48 from the original and chapters 136, 137, and 138 from the manga. If there's one major difference between the original and the remake, it's the fact that this episode is Kurama's first formal introduction in the remake, whereas her first formal introduction in the original was in episode 9. Unlike the previous episodes, this is just one story in an episode. In the original, the first 21 episodes along with episode 23 were two-parters. Other than that, the original went for just one story per episode. Now, I'll get to what I've left out earlier. Kurama is wrong on standards. How so? Simple. Standards do not work in terms of high versus low, as that definition of standards tend to be a rather arbitrary take on what makes relationships work, as it leaves out virtues. When the virtues, such as kindness, loyalty, and integrity, among others, are ignored, the thing that will be sought after is just gonna be looks. I'm not gonna argue for a looks versus virtues dichotomy, as it's a rather false one. Instead, what I am saying is that virtue should be the main priority in looking for a significant other. Hence, the standards tell of what works in a healthy marriage. Possessing virtues is necessary in having a healthy marriage, as opposed to having an unhealthy marriage or a perpetual hookup situation. We see this with Kurama mentioning looks earlier as her sole measure in a man. It does not work as we see Shotaro being both a pretty boy and a coward. Let's just hope that Kurama decided to go for virtue first in choosing for a husband. Otherwise, she will end up like so many women in our reality, lonely and angry at themselves for not choosing virtue in men. I do think that Kurama, much like the women in our reality, deserve better than doing hookups. That said, both men and women should seek out virtue in looking for a significant other first and foremost. Otherwise, we'll all end up being disappointed if not worse. Come join me next time as I'll review episode 5.